Still grinding, still pumping is going to be Tesla, although we did have basically a red day in here, but we still placed a green candle on the daily. You'll see that in a second. But we are red as far as we are down 486 from yesterday's trading session into the day. 342.82, and we are down a little bit here in after hours. So on the weekly, we're still respecting this lower trend line here, although no matter how harsh it is, we are still respecting that. Your RSI is creeping a little bit higher, but when we go to the daily chart here in a second, you're going to see how much overbought it actually is. Your fib levels, they're still kind of staying intact. We're still watching 341, 397, 295 on the weekly here for your big levels here going forward. And it looks like that your 9-day EMA is sort of starting to separate here from your 200. We need to get a nice little squeeze coming back in here or a little consolidation up here on this lower trend line before we can start going any higher and kind of running away from each other. On the daily, you can see what I was talking about here with this RSI. Also, if you saw on our chat, we mentioned that the net flow overall was bearish today, especially after 2 p.m. That's when all the puts basically kind of outweighed all the calls. Also, if you saw the analysis in there as well, the Bollinger Bands that we have wrapped around, basically Tesla's trading at the upper end, the upper band of those Bollinger Bands. So it's basically set up here nicely for a little pullback. We just don't know when or how much, but this could give us a little hint up here. Hey, we're going to hang out here at the 340s for a second, or maybe a little pullback in here to 330 before we start climbing higher. Now, I mentioned 330. That's because this was support for us back in here mid March or mid February, I guess. Was where we had these two touch points here right at that 330 mark. So if we do pull back, that is going to be a little spot for us. And then below that, this 9-day EMA in here on the daily, which is currently trading at 315. Below there, we're looking at this 200 SMA or this 295.24 area. That's your 50% fib here, whichever one of those do come first. Now, resistance wise, although we are expecting a little bit of a pullback and consolidation here, if we keep pumping higher, what is going to be our next area of concern? Well, it's going to be really 362. That's what we're more worried about. Obviously, 350 is going to be an area that we're going to have to breach first, but 362, that's going to be the major area of concern for us. Above that, you're going to be looking at trying to breach right around that 373 area in here before we start working to that 397 or that 23.6 fib level. Now, if we go into the 30-minute chart, you can see what happened in here on the day. Basically, a whole lot of nothing, little pump in here because you did have that pullback, right? So you had that pullback in here off of those kind of went down, hit those pre-market lows just again, touched it, and then had that nice climb. So you had about a $10 climb in here onto the day. And although we did pull back towards the end of the day, we kind of recovered right there at that last half an hour here with this green candle in here where you had that low of 339 and then that high of 345 by the end of the day, obviously, and we closed at 342 right in between all that. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. We're looking at all this, but again, on the daily chart, what is the daily telling us long term? It's saying, hey, we're overbought, we're overextended. We still have a gap down here that we have to worry about the 300 level. We need to do a little bit of consolidation in here, try to figure out what's going on. We overexhaust ourselves a little bit. So let's kind of take a breather here, and then we'll kind of come back down to the 330s before we start working our way higher. That is kind of what the chart's telling us. But of course, we kind of play the news now instead of charts. So we kind of have to take all this into consideration. So again, what are we looking at in here? 341, that's going to be an area in here that we're going to have to keep track of. 330. And then below that, it is going to be down here right around that 315 mark. Resistance wise, 350, 360, and then 373 are what we're looking at in here. Expected moves coming up. You have right around a $9 expected move priced in by tomorrow's expiration. Next Friday, everybody's pricing in right around $24. Go all the way out to June. Right around a $50 expected move is what everybody is pricing in here, with IV getting a nice contraction overall in the day. So we'll see what happens as we continue this week here in Tesla, and we'll continue to monitor all the news and the chart as well. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.